Good afternoon.
And good evening.
I forgot the introduction.
And welcome to the Mr. and Mrs. in Business podcast.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Helen.
And what do we talk about on this show?
We talk about life
Business.
and just everyday highs and lows.
I think we've started this a little bit. I don't know if we should fill people in as to why this is a little bit... what's the word? It's not off the cuff because they're always a bit not off the cuff.
They're all off the cuff.
Well, yeah, but that makes it we don't plan or anything. We do some planning. At least
Yeah.
at least we decide the topic we're going to talk about. But today I feel like it's a little. I'm a little bit flustered today.
Oh, we have got a thick sweater on.
I've got a thick sweater on, which I'm quite hot. But the problem is, it's that temperature where it's kind of between t-shirt and hoodie weather.
It's gilet weather.
Gillet.
If I do say
Gillet.
say so myself, a gillet.
And under the studio lights, it does get quite warm. But
Yeah.
today's been a bit of a... it's one of those days where I'm just hoping what happened today isn't a sign of what's to come this week.
Things can only get better.
She's back to it. We've had two guests on recently, which are pre-recorded. One's already gone out. One's coming out after this one. And she didn't do any singing, and now I feel like she's going to make up for the singing on this episode.
That's it. I can go back to my singing
why have you
now.
readjusted?
Because I actually saw a clip of me the other time, and I sink into the chair.
You've gone too far away from your mic.
I know. I sink into my chair to be comfortable. But then when I saw my face and the turkey neck, I was like, if you lean forward a little bit...
A little bit. You're nearly keeling over.
It might just take off a little bit.
Do you want to put that cushion behind you then? Maybe
know,
we
I
should
was
have done this before we started.
I know. I was trying to be subtle with it.
Oh, sorry.
No, I've tried it behind me. Look, I'm off the chair.
God. I'll just sit back
So I put it to the side.
Okay.
And I carefully tried to sit forward, subtly, and you've called me out on it. So thank you.
I do apologise.
Thank
Would you be
you.
able to reposition your mic now? You repositioned your body as well,
I
please.
have. It's
Thank
four
you.
fingers.
4 fingers.
There we go.
I'm going to get a little tape measure made. or a t-shirt
Yeah.
saying 4 fingers.
Oh,
Anyway, off topic.
I wouldn't have that.
Oh, yeah.
Now that is inappropriate.
4 fingers and proud.
Swiftly moving on.
Swiftly. Yeah, but today was one of those days where, in a nutshell, we'd sold a piece of machinery.
Yeah.
I'd kind of forgotten we'd sold it, and the guy was picking it up today. So when
Well,
I had the message, one of the team members came to me and said, "There's a guy here to pick up a machine." I was like, "Oh God, yeah."
Yeah.
Luckily, I got it out ready last week.
You got it out mid last week or the start of last week, and I said, "Why are you getting out so early?"
For this reason.
That's why.
But then I did say to the lady that was buying, because she sent a guy to pick it up. We wouldn't be able to release it until payment's received, obviously. And she said, "That's no problem.
Yeah.
I'll pay as soon as I know he's confirmed the van," which was last Thursday anyway.
Yes, yeah, so you did remind her mid last week.
Yeah. And anyway, he comes this morning when he's not cleared. Nearly, 9, 10, 11, 12, 4 hours it took her to get payment across.
Yeah, so he was sat here twiddling his
Absolute
thumbs.
nightmare. Then I was entertaining him as well, so I lost most of today. So I've been running around like a headless chicken the last couple of hours, and then all of a sudden Helen's like, "We've got the podcast," and I was like, "Oh God!"
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't want to do it just because I've got so much to do.
Yeah,
but,
so that's why you're flustered.
But here we go, somebody a little flustered.
We'll make it short and sweet, don't worry,
But
babes.
the last couple have been really interesting because we've done some guest posts, haven't we?
Yeah,
Some
it's been
guest
really
posts,
nice.
guest
Yeah, we have had Emma
appearances.
and we've had Maz. And
That one's coming out after this one, Maz's, from
yeah,
Safety
yeah,
Forward.
Yeah.
Got some more booked up as well.
Yeah, so we've had some really good feedback actually. People saying that they found them really informative, and we've enjoyed doing them as well. Breaks up just seeing your own face. So
Oh. Bloody hell, I thought the moisturiser was working a treat. I mean, you know when you're getting old, don't you, as a bloke, because then you start applying moisturiser.
well, I think you're behind the times. I think a lot
Are
of
we?
men do. Well, I don't know.
Really?
It varies, doesn't it? I don't know.
I don't know.
I've only just started moisturising my hands, so I can't talk.
Oh.
But yeah, so yeah, it's can only get better today, really, can't it? It's been a bit of a
Well, it's the end of the day now, but yes, so I suppose it can only get better because
well,
we're
the
going
week
home soon.
can only get better, and it's only a 4-day week, so we can't
Oh,
complain.
I'm sick of these bank holidays, but anyway, let's move on from that.
Mm.
But it's been a really busy few weeks, isn't it? I mean, we've
Yeah.
launched the new podcast studio through
Yeah.
Two Krakens and Content
Yeah.
Studio. We're having
Yeah.
loads of meetings about that. I feel like
Yeah.
every day,
Having a really
I think
positive
genuinely, actually, I
uptake.
don't think there's been a day we haven't had a meeting where someone said, "Can I come and have a look and have a chat about it?"
Yeah,
Which is great, and
Yeah.
getting bookings booked
really
in.
good.
Bookings booked in.
yeah, appointments booked in.
Yeah, that'll
so
do,
yeah,
yeah.
it's good.
You have to bear with me, folks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's all going really well. Thread of Pixel's busy, so all's good in the hood. Can I say that, or am I too old for that?
Although I do say to people, you know, you can't take any month for granted really this year.
No, any
and probably
year.
next year.
Any year.
Yeah, you can't sit on your laurels because The future is a crazy one, isn't it? Lots of
Well, it's
crazy
unpredictable.
changes.
That's
It's
the point, isn't it?
unpredictable,
And I think years ago there used to be a pattern to things that you could kind of follow to some degree, and I think since COVID that's just been
A lot
blown
of
out the
patterns
window.
have gone out of sync these days.
Absolutely. I mean, take us for example. We always talk honestly, don't we, on this channel? So
Yeah.
normally January and February for us are slower months because everyone's getting back into the swing of things and it builds up. So we always know that January's pretty quiet, February pretty quiet, and then March starts to come back to normal.
Spring comes
March,
and-
April, and so on. Whereas this year, January and February, we were really busy. So we were like, oh my God, this is amazing. We've booked the trend. We're not going to have a slow start to the year. It's just going to.
Yeah.
And then March went a bit quiet, and then it was like, oh,
Yeah.
it recovered again. But
Yeah.
it's just, you just can't plan for anything. And if you're watching this, you'll notice that my wife got herself a drink before this podcast and failed to get me one until I clicked record and everything. Would you like one, darling? Knowing that I would say no because we just got everything set up, and getting my wife to sit in that chair ready for a podcast is like, I don't know.
I think you're being dramatic.
I can't
On
think of
all
anything at the
accounts.
moment. On all accounts.
I said, would you like some before we start? No, I don't want any.
Let's not start this one with an argument. I've said my piece. I will move on, swiftly on, as you said earlier.
So what's today's topic, darling?
Today's topic, darling, is something we get asked a lot of, and it's bizarre because I don't feel like this is true until people mention it. And I was like, well, maybe we do. But I never looked at myself and thought this. But we get a lot of people come up to us saying, how do you do it all? You always seem to be so busy doing 100 things. You guys are smashing it. How do you fit it all in? And you get the odd person say it from time to time, obviously. And you think, oh, yeah. I bet we've had more and more people recently come up to us and say, people we respect in business as well.
Yeah.
And it got us thinking, well, actually, we have got quite a bit going on, and we do quite a bit. Do. I always love that. And so we thought we'd have a podcast about, we'll break down how we do things that enables us to do, from what me seems like normal, but to other people seems like doing a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what this podcast is about, the 10 things. But because I'm a little bit flustered, and we don't normally do things like this, where we normally just have a topic, don't we, talk about it. I am probably going to have to refer to my phone a couple of times because we wrote them down this morning because we said we could talk about this.
Yeah.
But
that's okay.
And but I remember the first one.
Well done. Oh, what's the first one then?
Well, hold on. I feel like, how many of you remembered?
I haven't been involved. This has been your.
Here we
this
go.
has been your
We
lead.
had a group discussion this morning. You were. Oh no, we didn't, because you didn't wake up, did you?
No, I did get up late today. That
Anyway.
3-day weekend has really
It's
played on me.
buggered things up.
Yeah.
So I think the first thing that we do, and we started this probably about 2 years ago now, and we're not perfect at it, but we dip in and out, but we do try and stick to it. But we only undertake growth tasks that do one of two things. Either one, they are related directly to growth as a business, or they have to add value to either the business or the customer, because sometimes you can have something that is going to add value to the business but isn't necessarily aligned with growth. So an example of that might be putting in a system.
Yeah.
Well, okay, you could argue that an improved system would give you more growth in the future, but today it wouldn't do that. It would just mean that it adds value to the business, becomes more efficient, which then in turn means customers get their orders quicker. If we look at ThreadPix as an example. So I think that's the first one, isn't it? We always, if we're going to do anything that's new, we're going to sit down first and say, well, hold on. Ideally, it ticks both of those boxes, but if not, which one does it tick? And I think we're pretty strict at saying, actually, if it doesn't tick at least one of those, well, it's not a priority. It gets put to the back of the pile.
You're very strict at that.
Am I?
Let's be reals. Yeah. It's not so much me. I'd happily, I don't know, we had that huge to do for a couple of weeks, couple of months, of me wanting to have myself and the team sorting out the stock room. And getting everything properly labelled so that it saved the team time, in that we could find something quickly when people come into the showroom or when we have an order to complete. And you were like, this is just irrelevant.
I hate that stock room.
And so that is your bugbear, the stock room. But like, me and the team are like, oh, well, we know where everything is now, because you didn't allow us to dedicate. It was specific timings of how long we had to do it. And it was done. And it is all sorted now. It is much more efficient. But by heck, you were against that.
Well,
By Joe.
I put money on the fact in the next 6 months they'll be revisiting that that stock room and readjusting it again.
No, already it's still to plan.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's the longest time ever.
I think you have been in that. I mean, let's add some context to this. I think you have sorted that showroom out. I keep saying showroom, stock room out. 10 times?
No, it's done for good now.
Done for good now.
Yeah.
So that was why I was hesitant to let you back in to redo it again.
Yeah.
Simply because of,
but that's my ADHD tendencies in, like, you know, the whatever needs doing, I will go off and sort out the cutlery drawer. That cutlery drawer really needed cleaning out. So, and then if you just let me do my sock drawer or my underwear drawer, then I can get on at the task at hand.
And yet she will do that, genuinely do that, and the whole of the house is a shithole. You know, I mean, she'll empty the whole wardrobe, leave it on the bed, but she'll say, come and look at my drawer, darling. Yeah. But the wardrobe's empty. Yes, but look at the drawer. Oh, God. Why did you get all that in the wardrobe? Just look at the drawer. Are you doing the wardrobe? Yes, I'm doing the wardrobe. Just look at the bloody drawer. That's
Get
what
out
it's
now.
like. That's what it's like. And then she just chucks the wardrobe back in because she can't bother. I've had enough now. Anyway, we got off topic.
So you're the one, so you have to take the credit for that. That's why we were a good yin and yang, because, you know, you're the one that keeps us on track for that.
Yeah.
So yeah. And a phrase that I think we both have started using the last couple of years is, I don't have time.
I hate that.
You have not allowed me to say that for a few years now. Because I remember a job I used to have, they were talking about somebody that had set up their own business and they still had a full-time job. And all we used to say was, I have no idea how they do it. I just don't have time. No. And I used to say that a lot. And then we were doing that. We were working on the evenings and weekends to set up our business over 10 years ago. And I'm not saying everyone needs to work harder and all the rest of it. It's just, you know, if you really want something, then you can find the time.
No, I think we all can work harder. Everybody.
Well, yeah, I guess.
It's not a criticism.
Yeah.
It's how you.
But it's just so interesting, because instead of saying I didn't have time, we do often say, "Oh, I didn't make the time to do that."
Right, that's the thing, isn't it? Because time is fixed. That's one thing that is equal against you and everybody else. No matter how successful they are, they haven't found a way to get an extra 6 hours into their day. No, we all have 24 hours, and it frustrates me when people say, "I haven't had time to do that," but they spent 3 hours watching telly. So what you really mean is that you prioritised watching telly. That was more important to you than doing that job that you said I didn't have time for. So you did have time. You just chose to spend it in a different way. So that's not a problem. I'm not criticising how you spend your time.
Yeah.
But when people say I haven't had time, well, we all got time. You just got to make it. You got to make it work, right?
Yeah, you just got to be strict with it, haven't you?
So that's the first one.
Yeah.
Number 2, número dos. That's all I know in Spanish. Is that Spanish? Un, deux, trois. Anyway, number 2 is we've started holding each other more accountable, and we only started this year, to be fair. But sitting down every Wednesday at 12:30, without fail, no matter what happens, no matter how busy it is or how crazy it is. I think we've only missed one this year. I think I was ill.
Yeah.
And we sit down and we hold each other accountable every week. And it's a proper, it's not I think when they first started, they were a bit more lardy-dardy. But as we've gone on, we've got much more structured and much more holding each other to accountability. And setting actions off the back of them as well. Not so much that it's like, that's just ridiculous. But, 3 or 4 actions are things we need to achieve. And they are always based around growth again.
Yeah.
Aren't they? I mean, rarely do we talk about operations stuff, like daily operational. We talk sales.
Yeah.
Because obviously that's an important part of what we do, right? Without sales, we don't have a business. But the other, we'll spend maybe 20 minutes on that. What can we do? But then the rest is about the growth part. So how can we maybe increase sales, provide a better service, or we've got a new thing we're trying to sell, or we've got this issue in the business. How are we going to fix it?
What's the new trend out there
What's the new trend?
This month as well, or whatever.
So, and that's worked really well.
Yeah.
And I think that even if you don't have a business partner, I think it's a good way to do it yourself. If you haven't got a business partner, or you don't have a mentor or somebody that will help hold you accountable, do you know what? Put on your big boy pants, your big girl pants, and hold yourself accountable. Lock yourself in a room for an hour.
Yeah.
These are the things I said I was going to do. Why haven't I done them?
Yeah.
And I get that things happen and business gets in the way.
Yeah.
But we can't carry, if we were looking to grow
Yeah.
and become bigger and do more and be better, we can't keep using those as, and I'm going to use the word, I'm probably going to get screamed at by everybody after this on the comments, but we can't keep using those as excuses as to why we didn't get those things done. Because that's business, right? We're always firefighting stuff. There's always stuff you've got to deal with, but you've got to find a way to move stuff forward. So I think another thing that's worked really well for us is sort of sitting down with each other.
Yeah. Yep, definitely. It's definitely working. Because the weeks literally do, I mean, you could easily have them every 2 weeks, to be honest. But when you're trying to grow at the growth and we were talking is bigger, better. It's not that we're growing bigger we want the turnover to be higher, but it's just being more sleek in how you're creating that, because you're targeting the correct customer, the correct type of order, and it does make a big difference when you are more focused on where you want things to go. And so, I've found them really helpful.
Yeah, and then something else we've always done this actually, but I think we just get better at it, because I don't think you ever become perfect at anything, right? You just get better and better at it. But this is kind of a 2-in-1, this one. But we, first of all, we trust the team to do the jobs they need to do. And it's taken us probably all this time actually to get to the place where we are now in the past maybe 18 months, where we have the team that we are actually really, really happy with. We trust them implicitly to do the things they need to do. And they enable us to then focus on the growing activities and the other activities versus the operational day-to-day things. And I think it's actually, without having the right team, it becomes really difficult to do those things. So I think that's something that we did a little while ago, and we spoke about this on another podcast, didn't we? And the fact that we scaled up to like 9 or 10 staff, and then we scaled back because we were just not getting anywhere with people. We have so many people issues.
We were just firefighting each day.
Right? So we scaled back, and then all of a sudden we started to become more
streamlined,
more efficient.
More profitable.
Turnover went up, profit went up, everything was going in the right direction, and we had less headaches. So, and that's why we spoke about that. That's why we did the Is Bigger Better episode the other week. But now having the right team has meant we can trust them with activities that we wouldn't have trusted other people with. And part with that as well is we get them involved in our growth plans as well. So we try and be really transparent. I mean, we can't be, there's some things we can't divulge, right? And that's just the way it is. I suppose we could, but we choose not to, right? For whatever reason. But having the team on board with where we're trying to get to
understand your vision.
Right? They feel part of it, and they want to come on that journey with you.
Well, they are part of it, and they are on that journey.
Exactly. And isn't that our job as leaders to be able to create that vision for them? Because they might not be able to do it themselves. I'm sure they can, but our role anyway as a leader is to create that vision, to get them excited, and for us to work out, and for their contribution of how they can help us get to where we need to get to as a business, and what role they're going to play in that journey.
And it's obviously, it's actually been really interesting in having team meetings, telling them the plans, sharing our vision, sharing our ideas, thoughts, targets, and having their input from it, because they are on the journey with us, but seeing things from a totally different perspective.
Absolutely.
So you can have a totally different viewpoint on that as well. And we do try and encourage and instill into the team, no idea is a stupid idea, same as no question is a stupid question. And any criticism or feedback is always useful.
Oh, it's so important.
So if we always say to them, look, if there's a process that you're doing that you don't think makes sense, then you need to feed that back to us. And that's what helps you grow as well. And I think if you get nothing from the team, that does ring alarm bells as well, because having their feedback is massive, and allowing them to feel like they can trust in saying what they want is really valuable. I mean, actually, I was just saying to you earlier, someone that we were working with had said why you're not buying much from us, and I'd given my honest feedback as to why I'd chosen to go elsewhere, and I'd not heard from them. And then the new rep came and said, why haven't you come? They saw them and we had nothing. And I said, well, I fed back and it was obviously didn't fall right. Nobody likes criticism.
Yeah.
But in order to grow, you have to have criticism, especially if you ask for it. You know, we'll often say, how did we do? You know, we send review requests to our customers.
Yeah.
How did we do? If we don't have any honest feedback, even from a customer last week, she said, absolutely love everything, but this one top didn't quite work because of X, Y, Z. And that is really useful feedback.
Yep.
You know, I'm sorry to hear that, but I've actually got this alternative.
Yeah.
If you're not told that, how can you grow and improve?
Well, should we not be seeking that out as leaders as well? Because otherwise we're just polishing our ego almost, aren't we? In the fact that everything's great. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Ignorance is bliss almost in that respect. So as a leader,
Yeah.
it's your job to go and seek out the negative feedback. And there will be, and I call it
Of course,
negative, it's
nobody's
constructive,
perfect.
right? But the feedback that's going to help you grow. I mean, one of the things that we did at the beginning of this year, and we'll be doing it every year moving forward, and we were told by some people, God, don't do that, why would you do that? Is we allowed the team to sit down with our mentor and give their honest feedback about us as leaders, with us not in the room, so if it was a safe environment. Because it's one thing me asking a staff member, are you okay? Am I a good leader? Is there anything I could do better? Them say, no, you're great, you're fantastic. But now it's you removing me. It's we promised and we swore it'd be anonymous, and it was.
Yeah.
And we just had then this our mentor business coach sort of compiled all that information together and gave us a generic. So these are the things you're good at.
Yeah.
And these are things that we said we won't be able to do better at. And a lot when we spoke to a lot of business owners, they're like, oh my God, you can't do that. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
They can leave yourself wide open. I want to be left wide open.
Yeah.
I want to know where I'm going wrong.
Yeah.
Because you're not always comfortable. We try and create a comfortable environment where people can come to us, but I get it is quite hard to go to your boss and say, actually, I think you're shit at that.
Yeah.
Can you do this instead? So I get it. And we try and create this environment where people can say that. But if they don't, we give them other ways to say it.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
going and seeking that feedback.
I, that is something that I didn't used to be very good at, but I slowly over the years have learnt it, and you've definitely brought that out in me because you've said, look, if you can't take constructive criticism, how can you improve?
Yeah, you can't
if you
grow.
don't ask for it, then you ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
You know, and we know that from people we know. You know, there's people that we've met in business that we both think are, quite frankly, knobheads. But they've got people around them feeding that ego. And unfortunately, if they've not got anybody that cares about them enough to call them out on that, they're always going to be known as that knobhead, and they still are. But you've called me out so many times. I've called you out.
Knobhead.
You have to give me a reason why and how I can improve.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with feedback, isn't it? There's no point just saying you shit at that.
No, yeah, you can't just say, yeah. So, yeah, that is something that I've definitely taken on board, and I like to think I have changed so much over the years to improve things that you are often ignorant to. You know, when situations have gone wrong, we met with a friend recently, and his certain team member hadn't worked out, and he said, but it's my fault. It's my fault. I hadn't put things in place. And absolutely fair play, absolute fair play that you've taken that on board as your problem and not just saying, oh, yeah, they were shit.
Well, it's so easy to blame everybody else. And I think the sign of a really strong, solid leader is somebody that first looks inward. Okay, that's happened. But what could I have done differently to change that outcome?
Yeah.
And once you've done that, then you can start exploring everyone else's role in that. But unless you've done yourself first, and 9 times out of 10, if we're honest with ourselves, as a leader, there's something we could have done differently in that thing. Even if we can argue that I wasn't even involved in that job. I was involved in maybe the training or creating the training documents, or I was involved in creating the SOPs or the standard operating procedures. Or what role did I play in that? Actually, did I educate that person correctly? Or 9 times out of 10, there is something we can do to change the outcome. It might only be small, and it might not change the outcome that much. She's repositioning the cup for branding, full-on branding.
All of my subtle things you
I can't
have to
help
pick
it.
up on, don't you?
I can't help it. I'm rubbish.
Can't help it.
So, yeah, feedback that wasn't actually one on my list, but it's a really important one, actually.
Yeah, no.
Really important.
Yeah, well, it's that growth mindset, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you become a business owner, you have to open up yourself and rip yourself apart, literally.
You sound sexual.
Sadly not. There's no time for that. But you do, don't you? You literally have to strip yourself down of caring so much, because I think we were only saying not long ago, like with your team, like I think in we were talking with other friends, like I think with any business, people in the workplace have a moan, don't they? But it's natural, but you have to accept that they're going to moan about you. And we've all done it. We've all been there, and we'll all continue to. But you've got to have that tough, thickened skin. It's not easy to have overnight, but it's something that you just learn to have to.
It comes in time, right? And you keep on putting yourself. The more you put yourself into those situations, the quicker you become accustomed to it.
Yeah.
The longer you stay away from those situations, the longer it's going to take. But inevitably, you have to get there.
Yeah.
So just throw yourself in the deep end and just get there.
Well, it's like us doing these podcasts. We say that we feel exposed, especially because I often forget that the cameras are even there, to be honest, and it just becomes a conversation.
Yeah.
But, there'll be people that won't watch this that don't like us. There might even
100%.
be someone, if they've really got nothing better to do with their time. If they don't like us and they're watching, then more fool you, loser. But, like, you have to accept it. If they don't like me. Like, even with our son the other day, he said, oh, blah, blah's going to this club that I'm going to.
Right.
And he said he doesn't like me. And I said, okay, do you like him? And he said, no. And I know he doesn't. But I said, so it doesn't matter, does it?
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter. And I had to explain to him, you don't like everyone in life. And it means that they won't like you as well.
Yeah.
That's
fine.
Not just because you don't like them, but there will be the odd people that don't like you. And that's fine.
There won't be odd. There'll be plenty of people, but that's fine.
Yeah,
There's nothing wrong with
fine.
that.
But, sometimes, I don't know, like your parents can mollycoddle you and say, no, if they don't like you, it's just because they're jealous. But you know what? Like, my mum has tried to soften me because I've been so sensitive growing up. And she used to, when I was younger, she'd be like, oh, they're probably jealous. Or your friends say, oh, they're probably jealous. But you know what? They might not be. They might not they just might not like you. And that's fine. And I think it's too easy to say, because it's something that your friends will often say, and you might find yourself saying to them, they're just jealous of you. But no, that you just don't always vibe with everybody, and that's okay.
No, it is. That's a bonus tip, because we weren't going to talk about that one. So
Sorry.
there's a bonus one there.
Taking over.
Bonus one. No, you're not taking over. But that was a bonus one, because we forgot about that one. Another one is we set goals every year.
Yeah.
So Christmas is a really important time for us.
Yeah.
One, because typically on the run-up to Christmas, we are ludicrously busy. And it's just like a...
Oh, yeah. I do love having Christmas
switch off. Most businesses shut down as well. So it's a really...
Yeah.
In fact, even if they didn't, we are really good at Christmas.
You're not afraid.
We shut down for 2 weeks or 10 days, whatever it happens to be, because of the Christmas break. And that's it. We're clocked off. And we give the team a break as well, because it's needed by everybody, right? Christmas is your family. But we use that time, after the first few days of the... to start planning what's coming for the year ahead.
Yeah.
And we always set... and we maybe 2 or 3 goals, sometimes it's more, but we at least we have a goal.
Well, we have financial goals, of course.
Well, we've kind of shifted more towards that recently, more financial-based goals. But we always had things we were going to try and achieve that year. And at the beginning, we used to have a document called a flight path.
Yeah.
Business flight path, which was almost like just a scaled down business plan.
Yeah.
Because I hate business plans. I actually think they're useless. But that's the topic for another podcast. So we had a mini flight path, and it was only like 2 or 3 pages long. We're not talking here war and peace kind of thing, an autobiography. 2 or 3 pages long, is outlining what our goals are this year and how we're going to go achieve them. That's the really part, is how we're going to go and achieve them. Not just, well, I want to drive an Aston Martin. How are you going to get in there? Oh, I don't know. So
win the lottery.
Yeah. We don't play it though. Oh, yeah. So that's what we do as well every year. Now, we've kind of shifted away from the flight path, and we use a different system now, which we can talk about a little bit later. But all our sort of goals for the year go into there, so they can be tracked. And that's something, again, that once a month in our weekly catch-up, once a month, we'll have a quick review. How are we getting on with that? Are we heading in the right direction? And you know what? It doesn't actually matter if 6 months in that goal has to change.
We're very able to pivot.
Yeah, and this is one of the other points, pivot, friends. This is one of the points, is that we've been in situation, and this weekend is a prime example. Since last Thursday, I've spent nearly every day, Saturday, Sunday, and Bank Holiday Monday, working on a new system for something. I've put in, I've been working long hours, so I could have put in maybe 40, 50 hours over the last 3 or 4 days. And last night, about 5, 6 o'clock, I was on the couch working at home. Couch sofa? Do we couch or sofa?
I said to you the other day that you called it the couch. I think you've moved to be American and call it couch.
Couch. So I was sitting on my couch at home watching TV on the laptop, and I just stopped for a minute. I thought, what the hell is this? This is wrong. This system that I spent the last 5 days working on isn't going to solve the issues I need it to solve. If anything, it's going to create me more issues.
Right.
So a lot of business owners will either, one, not stop and think about that, or two, just, we'll make it work, we'll fix it later.
I'll carry on to tick the box.
Yeah, no.
Because I've got a team waiting for me because I said I'd do it.
Right, but
Maybe.
no, it's not going to work. We need to stop and change tact. And we've done this lots. We've tried,
Yeah.
we've failed more than we've succeeded, if we're being honest. Yeah?
Yeah.
We've had more failed businesses than we've had successful businesses. And in some of those businesses, we've spent... When I mean failed,
Yeah.
I mean that we've had to close them because they haven't generated enough revenue, basically. I don't mean failed as in we've not learned anything, because we've learned a shit ton, and that's the part of this. But we're not afraid to fail. We'll put ourselves into situations where we can fail. We create a safe environment for us and the team to fail. But we're not afraid to say, well, hold on, that's cost us 20 grand, but that's wrong. We need to stop that. Lose the money, that's fine, but pivot, change quick to recoup the cash, kind of thing. And we've done that a few times in different things.
Yeah.
And that was just a small example of this weekend, of the last 5 days working, my butt off for basically nothing. That's all going to go in the bin now. But that's fine, because I'd rather that than spend another 3 weeks on it and get to the end and then think, that doesn't do what it needs to do.
Yeah. Well, you'd also done that in the team meeting last week as well. You'd been working on a new system for something that we all agreed we wanted to have as a new process in the team. Then you came to the meeting and said, hold on, guys, is this actually going to save you time? Or do you need to put input far too much and chase too many things to put it in for the outcome that we're going to have? Is it worth it? And we all agreed, you know what, I'm really sorry, but I'm not sure that is worth it. So we've decided not to use that process.
Yeah.
So whilst it's painful because the time and money has gone into that development, we've decided, you know what, it will take the team longer for the outcome that we need.
Well, yeah, I'm just super busy at the moment, so we paid a developer to make that change. That was nearly £1,000 change to our CRM system. And he's paid, he's done, he's had his money, he's happy and Larry.
Yeah.
But when we actually re-looked at it, the amount of time the team were going to spend doing extra work, it's like, this is bonkers.
Is it worth it?
This is bonkers. So we scrapped it. It's gone in the bin. Well, it hasn't gone in the bin, but it's just not going to get used. We might be able to use it for something in the future. Who knows?
Yeah.
This is the point: is that you can't be afraid to fail, and you've got to be able to identify when it's time to pull the plug on something and do it quickly. There's this balancing act between the sticking game and the pulling the plug game, isn't there, really? Because people say stick with it long enough and you'll make it work. But sometimes you just got to realise that ain't going to work, and I've got to shift. I've got to pivot on my couch.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you do learn so much from any type of business, don't you, personally and professionally? And we have applied so many of the things that we've learned in the past to the businesses that we now have.
Yeah.
And that does allow you to propel faster in the new ones. And I think COVID really reset it for a lot of people as to what they really want in life as well. And I think when you get to a certain age as well, that allows you to reflect. And then I think everybody's had to... I'm going off on a tangent now.
No, it's fine. Yeah, it's true, though. It's true.
But I think once again, after COVID and Brexit, I think again this year, people are having to reflect on what they want as a business and personal life. Because, you know... life is expensive now.
Isn't it just?
You know, the food shops seem to have quadrupled. You know, everything's so expensive. You really have to think about what you actually, what is a necessity and what is a luxury. So yeah, it's a strange world, and yeah, we've definitely reflected on that together. And like you said the other week, luckily. Our future plans have changed, what we want personally, but luckily they've changed together, and quite dramatically as well. So I feel quite blessed that we do have that same path, because not everybody does, and I think that's a huge thing.
But we communicate everything. I mean, there's nothing we don't talk about, which a lot of couples, when we talk too much, I don't know, but we talk about everything, and we discuss everything.
Even if you're just thinking a thought out loud, like, how would you feel if we did this?
Yeah.
And then it might be that you're wanting to do that, and then I'll say, oh, I wouldn't like that because of X, Y, Z. And then it'd be like, oh, well, that's a fair point, actually. Not all the time, but sometimes that's why it's good to say it out loud.
No, it is.
But yeah, I think it's great to be open-minded about things. And yeah, I mean, life's for living. And
No, it is. Absolutely is. And one of the things that, but when we spoke about the businesses that have failed and we've closed, closed, whatever word you use, we don't use the word fail, but you know what I mean. We always, without fail, have like a bit of a debrief.
Yeah.
What was good about that business? What are learnings that took place from that business we can apply to other businesses that we have or new businesses in the future? That gets compiled. Then we look at, okay, why did it not succeed the way we wanted it to? What are the things we could have done better? What are the things that are big no-nos? Where we learned from basically we have like a do's list.
Yeah.
These are things we do need to do moving forward, a do, and a don't, and a don'ts list of things we don't need to. So although that business hasn't succeeded in the way we would have hoped initially.
Or it's ridden the wave. A lot of them rode the wave.
Oh, some of them did,
then we realised,
exited at the right time,
I think we've ridden the wave. We're not flogging a dead horse, but it's had its time.
Well, we exited at the right time. We got the right timing right.
It.
So yeah, I mean, when I say we've sold business, anyway, that's just by the by. But so there's always that learning that sort of takes place from those as well. So that's really valuable to bring to the next thing. I mean, there are some things that we learned 10 years ago, maybe 20 years ago that we do now that it just means you're one step closer to the goals you want to get to, I think. And talking about goals, something else that we do, and we still do today actually, is we are really careful how much money we pull out of the business.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know that businesses run off cash flow. Cash is king. And for us, we've had nearly every year, especially the past 4 years, we've had some really big ambitions for growth in different things. So this year is obviously Two Krakens and the studios. Last year it was starting the videos for Two Krakens. So we leave as much cash in the business as possible. And the goals aren't about, well, I want 4 holidays this year, or I want a bigger house, or I want my Aston Martin, or you want to have your...
Although personal things have come up in our conversations.
Oh, no, they have. Yeah, we have. Yeah, but what I'm saying, though, is that this is not about... Having a business for us isn't always about saying, great, the business, for example, has got 100 grand, let's pull that out and have it for ourselves. No, that business needs that money because we have growth plans for the following year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we spent, a part of my French, a shit ton of money last year on camera gear.
We certainly did, darling.
This year, we spent another shit ton of money on building a podcast studio.
Yes, we did, darling.
2 more to come. Plug. But
watch this space, literally.
Yeah, but we wouldn't have been able to do that if we'd have drawn all the cash out of the business.
Yeah.
And we could have. A lot of business owners do. I speak to a lot of them and say, that's my money as far as I'm concerned. Pull it out, just leave enough for the business to survive. The business should be... And I agree to some extent.
Yeah.
But you've got to leave cash reserves in there for growth.
Rainy day.
Well, for rainy day. Well, yeah, rainy day.
As well.
And growth as well.
Yeah.
So that's really important as well. The dog's stirring from her bed now, so I think we'll have to wrap this up.
If she comes over, it doesn't matter.
She'll start whining. She's got this whining thing at the minute. Always just whine. She whines for food, whines for fuss, whines for a walk, whines for toilet, just whines. And then when she's had it all, she's like a baby. You don't know why she's crying.
Yeah.
Well, I think the last one that I can think of anyway, you might have some. And probably one of the biggest ones, actually, this has been a real eye-opener for us. And again, this is a new one for this year. We now plot all of our growth activities, anything that's not related to operational day-to-day, in a separate system. So our CRM is like our Bible, all the day-to-day operations for Two Krakens and for Thread a Pixel. Here's the dog. Here comes the dog in case she's not on camera. There, she's on camera now. So we have a CRM for Two Krakens and a CRM for Thread a Pixel. Yeah. And they are basically the Bibles for those businesses. They run the day-to-day operations, team of access and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Then we have now a third system that kind of sits overarching those two systems. And that is all about plotting growth. So all of our annual goals are in there. Anything to do with growth, basically. When we did the new podcast studio, that was a project in there that we track.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because what we can now do is when we sit down for our weekly meetings, we ask each other, how much time have you spent in that system? And it's even just a self-reflection thing, actually.
Yeah.
If on like Wednesday morning, I know I'm sitting down with Helen in the afternoon, sitting down with you, I think, shit,
Yeah.
I haven't been in Notion. We use Notion. I'm not going to hide. We use a system called Notion. If you've not used it, there's no plug on this, but it is flipping fantastic. Have a look at it. And we use that. And I'll say to you, have we been in Notion? Have you been in Notion this week? And you'll say no. I'll say no, neither have I. And I know instantly then, well, hold on then. I've done nothing on growing the business. I've literally just been doing the day-to-day operational stuff. So I'm stuck. Because if you're not, you can't stand still anymore.
Yeah.
You can't just, well, I do this and I've always done that and that's the way I've always got my business and that's it. It's good for me. You can't do that anymore. If you stood still, you're going backwards because everyone else is overtaking you. So you always got to be moving forward. And so for us, we clearly know now, just instantly by, I've spent no time in that system.
Yep.
I've not done enough on my growing activities this week because all the activities for growth are in there. We
logged
log
in
everything in there. And so you could argue that, yes, well, I don't need to log everything in there. I'm an adult. I know what I've done and what I haven't done.
Yeah, but with
But
a
for me now-
perimenopause brain, that's a lie.
Well, I can't use that as an excuse. Not that it's an excuse, but I can't use that for me as a reason.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just an instant thing. Well, I know now I haven't done enough, so I need to knuckle down and double up
Yeah.
and do extra activities this week.
Yeah. Yeah.
So have you
it's
got
a
anything
great
else to add to
system.
those tips?
Yeah, no. I think you've pretty much covered them. I just wanted to sort. Yeah, I think having the team involved. I think it also applies to the way you bring up your children as well. Allowing them to try and have that growth mindset and to try and take criticism because it can be very upsetting saying, "Do you think you could have done better?"
Yeah.
Or, I mean, obviously, you've got to be careful with children. You don't want to give them a complex. But being able to take constructive criticism is so important. And it is something that we're trying to instill in our son because, I didn't always take well to criticism, but how can you grow otherwise?
Absolutely. You can't fix something if you don't know it's broken, right?
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, just like utilising your time and having planners for me for having specific tasks for different days. I think your idea of even if you work on your own, or you don't have your business partner, having an hour to yourself each week. I think that's a great idea because it works so incredibly well for us. And every week does pass so fast.
Yeah.
So it's easy to go by a month and not have achieved, or 2 months and not have achieved what you were hoping to achieve.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to say it out loud, and I'll probably get another load of abuse for comments to this. But if you can't find an hour in your week to lock yourself in a room, to turn off all your distractions, your phone, all the rest of it, and just focus on some growing activities, then I would have to argue then your business isn't set up in the right way. If your business relies totally on you and you can't find an hour a week, you've got some real big issues you might have to go and address. And we did. It didn't just happen for us overnight, right? This is one of the things we came back with knowing the right team and stuff.
Far from perfect. There's
no,
always
God, no.
a learning. We're not saying that we do it perfectly and that 100% not. We're always learning. But anything that we've learned that's helped for us, then we're happy to share.
Oh, yeah.
I also think, though, with us being yin and yang, I kind of push the personal and family touch more. So I try and say, if you can't find the time for yourself and your family, then it's a pity. So you've definitely taken that on board. So I think that is really important as well. So if you're setting aside an hour to review where you want to take the business, also try and do that for yourself. What goals do you want? Because I feel like for a few years we were just not plodding, but almost plodding, to be fair, plodding along and just rolling with it, not feeling fulfilled. And we said, hold on, what do we want from life ourselves? And I think that's so much nicer to take that on board because we did say, I want X amount of holidays. I want this type of holiday. I want to earn this. I want this time with the family, and I want this, that and the other. I want this size team because it gives me these emotions and feelings, and I need to earn this in the business to achieve that. Personally, I think all of that encompasses your happiness and how you grow. So I think it's really, really important to take into consideration your own time and your own personal growth and emotions as well.
I did my first proper 5-minute meditation session this morning.
Yes.
Because he said he does meditating and it's it's done wonders.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I've been thinking about doing it. I need to give it a go.
Yeah.
So I did my first one today. I don't think it was the right session I did.
Yeah, don't think it was the right one for you, was it?
Only because it said focus on your breathing. So obviously I started focusing on my breathing. And then he started asking me questions like, so what are the 3 things you want to achieve today? I'm like, well, hold on. I'm supposed to focus on my breathing. Now you're asking me a question. Okay, right. The question is focus on your breathing. And I felt like I was just between. I didn't feel very.
Man, you
I
can't
didn't feel
do
very,
two things.
very relaxed, to be honest. So I think I need to find a different one. But I'm definitely up for it, and I can definitely see the minutes that I was focusing on the breathing during that. I think it was 5 or 10 minutes. The benefit of it. So thank you, Cole. That was a really big tip, a really good tip, and something I'll be looking at doing more of.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that swear by it. So see, that's a good thing that you've already taken on board.
Yeah,
so it's
absolutely.
good.
And I learned that last week. So
yeah, well done.
So I think that wrapped up for this week.
Yeah. Hopefully some of the tips were useful. I know they've worked well for us. So yeah, it's nice to share.
The next one is coming out following Friday, and that will be Maz from Safety Forward. So that'll be all things health and safety. We'll talk about some really interesting accents on that one, because we've all got different accents, right? So she's, well, we'll wait till then, but we've all got different accents, and it's really interesting how we all have sometimes a preconceived idea of that accent and what that might mean about the person. I won't give too much away, but that was a really interesting topic, so I'm really excited about that one. So I think before the dog starts whining and I can't edit it out, I've already had the bang, 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 bang of a tail on the bookshelf.
Oh, it's tea time.
Oh, God,
it's tea
she's dancing,
time.
she's dancing. Here she goes.
Please, I'm begging.
So I think until next time, we'll see you all later. Be safe, keep smiling, and we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.